Rick, and this is your seat at the table, and welcome to my last installment for Middle Earth for the Burp role-playing game system produced by Iron Crown Enterprises and that era that I have currently available to me. I have a handful of PDFs that were given to me by some fans, some friends, and a couple of my subscribers that I eventually would like to review. Although I printed out the Schreier and it's sitting in a big pile near my desk in the living room, and I still haven't quite gotten it all sorted out and stuck into a binder. It's my big problem with PDFs. I'm a pen and paper kind of guy, a book binded kind of guy. I prefer this stuff than I do a digital version. Digital version's okay and fine, but it's not really as convenient as lots of people like to play out that they are. It's just my personal opinion. Also, I'd like to note that this is actually not a game, a Merc game book. This is something completely different, but it is very detail rich for Middle Earth and Lord of the Rings, and it worked well for me for decades as an additional source book material. And I say that in a couple of videos off and on, that when we play in RPG franchises, that there are often other sources of material that translate well into our game world. For Star Wars, there's a whole series of books that are for fans that talk about the history of this, that, and the other thing, and mechanics and stuff of how Star Wars works. And those are excellent source book material for a campaign, for the novel, for the GM and the player who wants to understand and delve into the Star Wars universe. So in this case, this was one I looked into in the late 80s. It's called the Atlas of Middle Earth, and by Karen Fonstad. So what we have is a very nicely written, well-detailed atlas, and it continues the first age, second age, third age, regional maps, The Hobbit, The Lord of the Rings, theatric maps. So we have an introduction, first age, and I'm not going to go through the entire thing, but you can look at the artwork and see the maps are exactly the flavor and style of the Lord of the Rings material, and that the Merc version that Iron Crown Enterprises tried so hard to bring in. Here's Gondolin and Thangordrin, and talk about the travels of Baron Luthien. Go through introductions of the Last Alliance, Realms in Exile, Numer, introduction to this third age or second age, and we get the changes that have happened after the fall of the Bellered, change of the world, the broken seas, or however you want to look at it, the kingdoms of Dinaday, Arnor and Gondor, and then Arnor's various smaller nation states when they start to decline. Battles, information about the Great Plague, more information about here's the South King, the North King, the Wainwriters, the Angmar, and other issues, and here's the Long Winter, migration of the Hobbits, migration of the Dwarves, and we get into regional maps, the Schreier in much more detail than some of the game material has available to it, and I think some of the later material tapped into this book or resourced this book more than they want to admit to. So, where we have some areas, just the mountains and geographics and geography and things like this, you can see just how much, here's the battles, Battle of Morannon, the Battle of Bywater, battles in the north, stuff that was vaguely hinted at in the novels, kind of touched in beta canon and things like that. The Battle of Hornburg, Mount Doom, the Morannon, Minas Tirith. We're going to get to my last one. Anyway, Isengard, Helm's Deep, things like this. So once again, this was a great source book and a great addition to my Merc campaign over the years when I played various games with players, and I use this for reference material, for hints, as an atlas that made finding certain things faster and easier than trying to go through a dozen different game source books and adventure modules and things like that. Once again, this is a great source of extra stuff. The Atlas of Middle Earth, right? So the Atlas of Middle Earth by Miss Fonstad. You can find a copy of this sitting somewhere. it's well worth your addition if you're, of course, not paying top dollar. I couldn't even begin to tell you what these things are worth nowadays, if they're worth much, right? So, till next time, this is Rick, and you guys have a great weekend.